When most people around the world think of India, their mind instantly jumps to Delhi, the nation's capital, the beating heart of politics, and the gateway to the north. Uttar Pradesh and Bihar dominate headlines too, not just because of their massive populations, but because they decide who rules in New Delhi. North India is where political power lives, but travel 1,000 kilometers south, and you enter a completely different India. Here, cities like Bengaluru hum with global tech giants. Hyderabad's skyline glitters with IT parks and biotech labs. Chennai powers India's automotive industry, while Kerala leads in human development. South India, despite having less political clout, has quietly built an economy and society that looks radically different from the North. This is the paradox. The North commands the seats in parliament, but the South drives much of India's growth. The North has the people and the votes, but the South has the jobs, the innovation, and the quality of life. In literacy, health, per capita income, urban infrastructure, and even life expectancy, the southern states are far ahead of their northern counterparts. So how did this divide emerge? Why does one half of India still struggle with poor healthcare, illiteracy, and mass unemployment, while the other half attracts global investors and produces world-class talent? And most importantly, what does this split mean for the future of India as a whole? In this video, we're going to break it all down. The history that shaped this divide, the economic and political choices that made South India surge ahead, the cultural and social factors that reinforced it, and whether the North can ever catch up. Because the truth is, India's rise as a global power depends on how this North-South story unfolds. Historical foundations of development. To understand why South India is ahead today, we need to rewind the clock. Unlike North India, which was often landlocked and agrarian, the South was always connected to the wider world. Ancient kingdoms like the Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas built powerful maritime empires that stretched as far as Southeast Asia. Their ports on the Coromandel coast and the spice-rich harbors of Kerala were plugged into global trade networks long before Europe's Renaissance. While northern empires fought over fertile river valleys and expanded agrarian economies, the South grew on commerce and ocean trade. Pepper, silk, and precious stones left South Indian ports for Rome, Arabia, and later China. This created a culture where towns and cities thrived, and wealth wasn't just tied to land ownership, but to trade and craftsmanship. Fast forward to the colonial period. The British invested heavily in Madras, now Chennai, and Calcutta, both southern/eastern port cities, because they were gateways for shipping. Railways, ports, and educational institutions were established early. Meanwhile, the Gangetic Plains, despite being politically dominant, remained trapped in an agrarian cycle with minimal industrial exposure. This historical continuity mattered. By the 20th century, South India already had a tradition of urban hubs, skilled labor, and a trading ethos, while much of the North was still tied to farming economies. This foundation set the stage for the modern IT and manufacturing boom that came later. In short, history gave the South a head start, while the North struggled with the weight of agrarian stagnation, economic growth, and industrialization. When India liberalized its economy in the 1990s, it was the South that seized the opportunity first. Bengaluru transformed into the Silicon Valley of India, hosting IT giants like Infosys and Wipro. Hyderabad built High-Tech City, a tech ecosystem now rivaling global hubs. Chennai grew into India's automotive capital, home to factories of Hyundai, Ford, and dozens of component makers. Compare that with much of North India, where the economy remained heavily dependent on agriculture. States like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar lagged in industrial diversification, while there are clusters like Noida for IT and Gurugram for corporate services. They lack the same scale and ecosystem as South Indian cities. The results are stark in the numbers. South Indian states like Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana consistently record GDP per capita figures nearly double or triple those of Uttar Pradesh or Bihar. Foreign investors, too, prefer the South. Better infrastructure, coastal access via ports, and business-friendly policies make it easier to operate there. Global corporations are not just choosing Bengaluru or Hyderabad for cost reasons. They choose them for talent availability, connectivity, and governance stability. Even domestic migration reflects this. Millions from the North move south each year. in search of better jobs and opportunities. So while the North still supplies labor, the South has built the industries and ecosystems that generate wealth, and that gap continues to widen. Education and literacy divide. At the heart of economic growth is education. And here again, South India leads by a mile. States like Kerala boast near universal literacy, with women's education and empowerment playing a central role in social development. Tamil Nadu and Karnataka have invested heavily in schooling and higher education. Institutions like IIT Madras, ISC Bengaluru, and universities in Hyderabad and Chennai are magnets for talent worldwide. These centers don't just educate students. They produce the engineers, doctors, and entrepreneurs driving India's global rise. Contrast that with the North, where states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh face literacy rates 15 to 20% lower than their southern counterparts. Underfunded schools, teacher shortages, and high dropout rates mean millions of children miss out on quality education. This perpetuates cycles of poverty and slows down social mobility. The South's early and consistent focus on mass literacy campaigns, social reforms, and women's empowerment ensured a more skilled population ready to take advantage of globalization. The North, bogged down by systemic neglect, caste inequalities, and population pressures, has struggled to keep pace. Simply put, knowledge capital is concentrated in the South, while the North still grapples with educational deficits. Health and social development indicators. Education is only half the story. Health and social development matter just as much. Here again, the South stands far ahead. Life expectancy in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka is 5 to 10 years higher than in Uttar Pradesh or Bihar. Infant mortality rates in the South are some of the lowest in the country, thanks to robust healthcare programs. Public health innovations played a big role. Tamil Nadu's universal healthcare initiatives and Kerala's decentralized health model ensured that even rural communities had access to clinics and medicines. Nutrition, sanitation, and women's health were prioritized, decades before they became central in national policy. Meanwhile, large parts of North India still struggle with malnutrition, high maternal mortality, and poor sanitation. States like Bihar and UP rank among the worst on India's Human Development Index, despite being political heavyweights in the national parliament. The consequences ripple out. Healthier populations in the South are more productive, miss fewer workdays, and contribute more to economic growth. In contrast, poor health outcomes in the North directly drag down human capital development, governance, and policy models. Another critical factor is governance. Southern states have often demonstrated better institutional capacity and political stability, from decentralized Panchayati Raj systems in Kerala to Tamil Nadu's midday meal scheme. Governance in the South has been more citizen-focused and results-driven. Policies weren't just populist slogans. Many were backed by systematic planning and execution. Tamil Nadu's free lunch program, for example, not only fed children but also boosted school attendance. Kerala's Kudumbashree women's self-help groups transformed grassroots participation and economic empowerment. Contrast this with the North, where politics is often dominated by caste-based mobilization, corruption, and frequent instability. Developmental policies often take a back seat to power struggles. As a result, even when money is allocated, execution lags. Southern states also marketed themselves better to investors. Karnataka and Telangana courted IT giants. Tamil Nadu attracted auto companies, and Andhra Pradesh built global partnerships. Southern states have consistently placed a high value on education, merit, and community welfare. The idea that social upliftment happens through schooling and skills is deeply ingrained in society. Movements like the Dravidian movement in Tamil Nadu further transformed the region by challenging feudal hierarchies, pushing for social justice, and ensuring state-backed welfare programs. These movements dismantled many rigid caste structures that held people back in other parts of India. Education and jobs became more accessible, particularly for marginalized groups. In contrast, North India continues to struggle with entrenched caste politics and land ownership models that slow down social mobility. Even today, electoral strategies often focus on caste blocks rather than development agendas, creating political incentives that sometimes discourage reforms. Culture also shapes how societies embrace change. South India's openness to global influences through trade, film, and education has made it more adaptable to modern ideas. English proficiency levels are higher in southern states, making it easier to plug into global industries like IT, finance, and healthcare. In short, culture in the South fosters progress, while in the North, social divisions and traditional hierarchies often hold back development, urbanization, and infrastructure. If you want a visual of the North-South divide, just compare the cities. Bengaluru is a global tech hub. Hyderabad is booming with IT and pharma. Chennai is India's automotive and manufacturing powerhouse. And Kochi is evolving into a logistics and tourism center. These cities not only attract investment, but also provide a relatively high quality of urban living. Compared to much of the North, South India has also raced ahead in infrastructure, expanding metro networks in Chennai, Bengaluru, and Hyderabad. Modern airports and express highways have made southern cities far more accessible. Ports like Chennai, Kochi, and Vizag connect the South seamlessly to global supply chains. Now compare that to the North. While Delhi has world-class metro infrastructure, other major northern cities like Lucknow, Patna, and Kanpur face crumbling roads, congestion, and poor connectivity. Rapid urbanization without planning has led to overcrowding, slums, and poor sanitation. Infrastructure is not just about convenience. It drives jobs, investment, and business competitiveness. When an IT company can guarantee smooth operations and global connectivity in Bengaluru, but faces power cuts and bottlenecks in Up or Bihar, the choice is obvious. That's why the South continues to draw in global corporations, while the North struggles to retain talent and attract comparable levels of investment. Agriculture and rural economy. Another major contrast lies in the rural economy. South India's agriculture is far more diversified. Farmers here grow cash crops like coffee in Karnataka, spices in Kerala, tea in Tamil Nadu, and cotton in Telangana. These high-value crops often bring better income than the North's dependence on wheat and rice. The North, with its fertile Gangetic plains, became India's grain basket. But this dependence on cereals has created vulnerabilities: subsidy-driven farming, groundwater depletion, and frequent farm distress mean farmers often earn less and face greater instability. In irrigation, too, the approaches differ. Northern states rely heavily on canal irrigation and groundwater extraction, leading to overuse and depletion. Southern states, though not perfect, have long traditions of rainwater harvesting, tank irrigation, and water-sharing projects, giving them resilience against drought. The result? Rural incomes in parts of the South, especially Kerala and Tamil Nadu, are significantly higher, while large rural populations in Up and Bihar remain trapped in poverty. Diversification has given the South a cushion, while the North faces recurring agricultural crises. Demographics and migration patterns. Demographics are destiny, and here too, the story splits. North India is experiencing a population explosion. Uttar Pradesh alone is set to overtake China's largest provinces in population size. High fertility rates mean resources, jobs, and services are under extreme pressure. Meanwhile, South India has transitioned to stable population growth. Fertility rates in Kerala and Tamil Nadu are already below replacement levels. While this means an aging population in the future, it also means fewer pressures on jobs, land, and services today. Importantly, the workforce is more educated and skilled. This imbalance fuels mass migration. Every year, millions from Up and Bihar migrate southwards to Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Kerala, where industries need labor. Migrants fuel the South's construction and service sectors. But this also exposes the North's inability to provide enough opportunities at home. Additionally, South India benefits from remittances from Gulf countries. Migrant workers from Kerala and Telangana send back billions, boosting local economies and raising living standards. The demographic divide, if not bridged, could further widen India's internal development gap. Future trends: will the gap widen? Looking ahead to 2040 and beyond, the divide between North and South could become sharper. South India is projected to remain India's innovation hub, with Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Chennai leading in technology, manufacturing, and services. Higher literacy, better infrastructure, and stable governance provide a strong foundation. The North, however, faces challenges. With exploding populations and rising unemployment, states like UP and Bihar risk social unrest. Unless they can generate massive numbers of jobs, efforts like industrial corridors, education reform, and new infrastructure could help. But implementation has historically lagged. Politically, this creates tension. The North dominates the Lok Sabha with sheer population strength, but the South increasingly feels it is the one powering India's economy. Debates over tax distribution, GST sharing, and resource allocation could intensify. The future of India's development will depend on whether the North can catch up or whether the South pulls further ahead. If balanced growth is not achieved, India may rise unevenly, a challenge for its dream of becoming a superpower. What this divide means for India. This North-South divide is not just a regional story. It's a national challenge. On one hand, South India demonstrates what is possible with good governance, education, and global integration. On the other, North India's struggles highlight the dangers of ignoring basic human development. The risks are clear. Southern states already voice frustration that they contribute more in taxes but get less back in central allocations, a debate that could strain India's federal unity. Resentment can build if one half feels it is carrying the other. But there is also an opportunity. India cannot become a global superpower if half the country is held back. The South's success models, literacy campaigns, women's empowerment, IT ecosystems, decentralized healthcare, can be replicated in the North with political will. The lesson is simple. India's future is strongest when all regions rise together. Bridging the divide is not optional. It's essential for national stability, unity, and global ambition. So let's wrap this up. For decades, South India has surged ahead in education, literacy, healthcare, governance, and infrastructure. Its cities are global players, its industries diversified, and its people enjoy higher standards of living. Meanwhile, much of North India remains stuck, with population pressures, underdeveloped schools and hospitals, farm crises, and political cycles that often prioritize short-term gains over long-term reforms. This doesn't mean the North is doomed. States like Uttar Pradesh have vast potential, with young populations and huge domestic markets. But unless governance and investment catch up, the divide will only deepen. The story of India in the 21st century will be defined by whether the North can rise to meet the South, or whether the South continues to carry the bulk of India's growth. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think North India can catch up in the next 20 years? Or will the South remain India's economic and social powerhouse? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with friends, and subscribe for more deep dives into India's biggest transformations. Because understanding this divide isn't just about numbers. It's about the future of 1.4 billion people.